Всем привет! Я сейчас нахожусь в Ралли, в Северной Каролине, и хочу сходить в один музей, который называется Joel Lane Museum House. Это дом Джоэла Лейна, построен в 1769 году, и сейчас является отреставрированным домом-музеем. То есть там все выглядит по-старинному, так как это было в те времена, в 1769 году. Тур по музею начинается каждый час. То есть я сейчас жду 11, и все бесплатно.
You will see that this is a middle-class home. Now we can tell it's a middle-class home by a few things, because this would have been the size of what Jolene's kitchen would have been. Now this one dates to 1790. This family had a little bit of money too, because they have a nice window on top, window on bottom, which is panes. That was very expensive for a middle-class family. Mm-hmm. And of course, this is probably what was made. They would spin a lot of this is called flax. Are you familiar with flax? Ever heard of flax?
Flax.
So you can kind of see some of the threads here. You can see our little chart right here. It has all the intricate steps that have to take place in order to eventually end up with linen. Now, what am I wearing that's made out of linen? I got pretty much everything. My hat,
Beautiful.
my scarf, my top, my apron, except for my skirt. My skirt's made out of that. What do you think that is?
Cotton?
That is cotton. Now we do know that Jolene had, he wanted to attract bees to his property as well too. So of course, you know, Jolene's people, the enslaved people would have made their little bee skeeps. These are called bee skeeps to attract them. But this is a middle class home, so it would have been up to the mother and her daughters to make the bee skeeps, because they wanted bees on their property for the same reasons. For pollinating, for honey, and for beeswax candles. Beeswax candles were cleaner burning and cleaner smelling than what the poor lower classes or enslaved people had to use. A lot of times they had to use these tiny little lanterns, and then of course what they would burn is animal fat, because that's all they had. So, and they would also have some of these that we grew out there in the herb garden. This is called a rose campion. They'd make wicks out of this. So they'd have the wick stuck in here and have to light it. Now, of course, if you've ever smelled animal fat, this smells very bad. And it doesn't give much of a light. But you know, at that particular time, once you went to bed, you were supposed to sleep. You went to bed with the chickens and you got up with the chickens. That's a saying around here. I don't know where you are, if that's the saying, but that's what it is here. It's a little bit cooler in here. We have air conditioning in here. So look around. This particular room was called the Great Hall. Now, it's not what we think a hall is nowadays, but in colonial times, that just meant a multi-purpose room. So there was a lot of things they could do here. I think that probably that whole middle-class home could probably fit right into this room right here, because it's big enough. So, and in this particular room, you'll see this is a breezeway here too, from the two doors in the back to here. That wasn't the norm. The norm was a single door. But Jolene wants to impress this governor too, and everybody that comes around him, that he has a lot of money and influence. So he has double doors there, double doors here. And he wants everybody to see him. He also wants to impress them with the floor coverings. Only a small percentage of the population even had floor coverings. And these were made out of ship sails or painted canvas. So they're kind of nice as well too. Here we have redone the porch area here, but you still have to be careful because there's no railings. That was not the style back at that particular time, so we could not put any on there as well. What we wanted to do was to show folks too how things have changed. Because at first we thought everything outside here was this color, but we were wrong. What they had, we have this woman, she's a resource person, her name is Susan Buck. She went through again, of course in 50 years, this all happened over 50 years ago. Things of technology and stuff, well, you know, has advanced so much, especially for you guys take it in better than we did, the older people. Now they went through 26 layers of paint, and they found that it was not this color, it was this color.
This color.
Jolene wants the best possible wood he could on these doors. And of course, what does he want? He wants mahogany. But where's he going to get mahogany? We don't grow it here. It grows in South America. But what's the next best thing to make our pine doors look like mahogany?
Mm-hmm.
He has an artist do it. He had his doors painted to look like mahogany. And you see, you can see all the lady that did art. She's a local artist here. You can see all the paint strokes that she did. She made these pine doors look like mahogany, and which is truly pretty. So how many languages do you speak? A few?
Russian and English.
No French?
No.
I thought you probably have some French too. I said, wow. I mean, I think that's a good thing to promote languages as well too. You guys can get jobs, I'm sure. You won't have any problems. If you ever want to come back here and work too, you'll get a job. Easy. Now, this room is the parlor. Parlor is the French word meaning to chat. Now, at that particular time though, did men and women really like to talk to each other at that time? They'd come in through the front door, they'd separate. The men would go into the great hall to discuss politics, probably smoke their pipes, and have some tobacco. The ladies would come in here and have a nice little tea party, maybe have some, and we even have some, this is some of the tea that if you want to smell it, you can smell it. That's the tea they made out of the lemon balm that we were talking about. So they had that, and then of course, any idea what this is?
This is napkins.
This one's a hard cone. What they would do is they'd pour their nice tea, right? Then they had these little pinchers. Now these are quite large. Some of them come in different sizes. But this is, they take a little sliver of this and put it in their tea to make it taste better. What do you think it is? Something sweet?
Yeah, some sweets.
Sugar.
Sugar.
And this is how they have to, we left it in this cornflower blue paper because as you can see, it's too hot and sweaty around here. We have little slits on the sides of our skirts. And what do we have inside?
Oh, keys.
We have pockets that are tied onto our, in the back here, they're not attached to the skirts, which is weird. But you're right, there's a bunch of keys in here. So we figured
a lot of
she
keys.
was, exactly, she was the one that was responsible for locking everything up because I don't believe that Jolene's gonna come and unlock the tea caddy for the ladies. I think that would have been Mrs. Lane's responsibility. Now this particular room here, we have decorated as Mr. and Mrs. Lane's bedroom. Generally, you will see a cradle at the foot of the bed. One of the Mrs. Lanes was either with child or nursing every 2.5 years. So she was always very busy as well too. And this jacket here, do you think it's American or British?
Looks like British.
Yeah, a lot of people do think that it's British, but it's not. This particular jacket was given to us by our friends at Colonial Williamsburg. And it's worn by musicians. And why were musicians important at that particular time? Because they would use their fifes and their drums to give directions to our troops. But unfortunately, the people that actually wore this were young boys. They were only about 12, 13, 14 years of age. And they were the ones giving the signals. Well, of course, at that particular time, we spoke English. They spoke English. So once they figured out what we were doing, and with their notes and things, who did they mark to kill? It would have been the young boys. So that's really quite depressing. Now here you can see Jolene could easily have all of these doors closed. This would be his office in here. People would use the back doors, come on in here and have a meeting with him. The people we have it on loan from, they really believe that it belongs to Jolene, but they don't have any documentation. So I cannot tell you that it does. If you want to see something that actually belongs to Jolene, you have to go to the Mordecai house. You want to go upstairs and see what it looks like up there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and go. We can go upstairs too. And what's kind of typical about this one too, when you see this place too, these stairs are not typical. If you go to the Mordecai house, you'll find their staircase is about half as big as this one. But these, he's trying to impress. These are wide, thick, hard, solid Carolina pine.
Yeah.
You know, because the only people that came upstairs were the family. Now, this particular room we call our boys' room. Now, people are kind of surprised to only see one bed, but that was typical of the time period. There's 3 boys up here. They sleep on here like little sardines. And this was a little rope bed, and this is the kind of bed that's here too. And this isn't very big. I think this is probably just like a full-size bed.
Yeah.
But we do have, what we do for our guests, we ask our guests is if you can touch these too, if you can identify, this is called tick, and this is what they would put in the mattresses for people to sleep on. And the different types of material would mean a different class of person would probably sleep here as well too. So can you identify any of these? Or all of these?
This is hairs?
Yes, that's horsehair.
Oh, hairs.
Who do you think would have had that? Would have been the upper class, middle class, lower class?
I think middle class.
Middle to upper. Mm-hmm.
This is popcorn.
Corn husks.
Corn.
Who would have that?
Yeah, this is from animal.
What do you think it is? You can pick it up if you want.
Oh, I think it's chicken.
Very good. It's chicken feathers. Most people don't get that one. It's exactly what it is. And that would have been washed and cleaned. And that was typically for your upper class because it would have been soft. Now, everybody wants to know how Jolene's children were educated. We really don't know. That's the sad part. Nothing's written down. We know that Mrs. Lane was upper class, and she would be the first teacher of the children. So they would use these little horn books. Usually they had a prayer on them, or the alphabet, or the numbers, and this would be the first thing that they would use in order to teach them. They would let them write on parchment paper. Now, parchment paper with your little quills and things like that, that would have been very expensive to write on too. And of course, if your liquid is licking or anything like that, you'd have to damp it. That's why you better be proficient in it if you know how to do it, because they did not want it wasted. This is a multiplication table, something that they would have had at that time. The ladies would wear the chemises. This is what I would wear under my outfit.
For night?
No, they wear them all the time. This is something they had to wear all the time. This was considered their underwear. Now, and men had a version of it too. They had tails, but they would put it into their pants. If you did not wear this every single day, you were not considered dressed properly. And then, of course, the upper class ladies would have wore, I call this one the dreaded corset. This is to look perfectly flat this way and perfectly flat this way. But this did a lot of damage to women, especially their backs. I mean, their spines were crippled. It would even move their intestines and organs, and they were in such pain just because of, I don't know, being a upper class family.
Because of beauty.
And of course the hat. Mrs. Lane always wore her hat when she went outside. We also have a water pitcher, water basin here, lye soap, linen towel. Now, Jolene's family members would have had a toothbrush that you could identify. This would have been made out of wood or shell, pig bristle, or horsehair. Now here we have another fireplace and mantle. Did you happen to count how many mantles we have in the house?
Maybe 3.
There's one there too.
2?
2 on the top, 2 on the bottom.
Oh,
that's
my
4.
God.
That was pure luxury back in those times.
This is for heating.
Yes, and it's for the girls too. The girls got their own fireplace. That was usually rare at that particular time too. Everybody usually slept in one room, especially some of the smaller houses, like you'll see in that middle class one little fireplace, and everybody slept on the floor. Of course, that would have been too hot in that little middle class home. 125 degrees, whew, they have to sleep outside. But, and then here,
this is restroom for the night.
Called chamber pot, pea pot, thunder pot, gazunda pot. When I first saw this, I said, why is it so small? Where's the bigger ones? But the bigger ones were in Victorian times, which is in the mid-1800s. This is colonial times, so it was much smaller.
And this is dollies. And this too?
Yeah, this is really cute too. Jolene's daughters would have had a cute little dolly like her. She's made out of wood, painted face, and a pretty little dress. Now, the lower classes or the enslaved people, nothing was ever wasted at that time. So they just used rags and scraps of material. They'd make their own little dolls. And this is what they would be playing with. And like I tell the kids, I said, you'd have to use your imagination, you know, and play with it the best you could. And you know, they didn't know what they didn't have. So.
Yeah, in my childhood, I made the same.
Did you make these? Oh, how cute. So did you have a good time with them?
Yeah.
Because I keep telling the kids nowadays, I says, you have too many electronic, because even my kids, they didn't play with it.
In my childhood, I don't have too many electronic.
They have, that's why I said, now, and my kids still, they're adults now, but they still have electronics.
Yeah.
They like all of that stuff. Especially my
this
son. He still likes to play games, and he likes to have competitions with people. And he's a school teacher too. It spreads me insane. I said, you can't complain about any of those kids wanting to play all these games because you like to play them too.
For people that come
Это просто вау! Это был мой лучший, наверное, тур по музею. Я была одна. Там такая атмосфера, запахи. Мне даже дали с собой lemongrass. И весь тур меня сопровождал этот запах лимонной травы, старинного дома. Плюс там никого не было, кроме меня. И весь тур был лично для меня. Я просто в шоке. Это было очень интересно. Я всем советую сходить. Мне даже дали фотографию этого дома. И все это бесплатно. Аж даже как-то стыдно. Я хочу сходить в еще один такой дом. Тоже там такой тур. Это, наверное, теперь мой самый любимый вид посещения музеев. Еще было на английском, и, конечно, для меня было сложно понимать все. А еще она, когда меня спрашивала какие-то вопросы, я такая, как ответить на английском? Ну, вроде все понятно было, 60% того, что она говорила, но я записала все на видео и пересмотрю.